Governor, last night the big debate on Fox News and Google. You want to give us your opinion, your spin on what happened last night?
Well, I think what's great about it is that we're talking about some issues. We're finding out what they believe in. So I think they should have still, showed how they were different than President Obama, because that's really the opponent. But we are finding out the differences between each of the candidates, which is, I think, real positive.
Obviously, Florida is going to play a big role, not only with the straw poll here.
The role.
Yes, the role. And then we have the Republican convention next year. Do you have a take on what's going on with the primary date? I know they named a committee last week to try and figure out what to do.
We're working on the primary date. We have a committee. The goal is to make sure Florida is treated in a position that it should be. We're one of the largest states, clearly a diverse state. We're a microcosm of America, so we ought to have our own date. It ought to be as early as possible, and we shouldn't be losing any of our delegates.
And we also have a big Senate race, trying to send Bill Nelson into retirement here in Florida.
We will.
What's your take on that race? Do you have any opinions on how that's going so far?
Well, I think it's going well. I think that we have some great candidates. Everybody keeps talking like there's going to be more candidates, so I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But there's going to be a clear choice next year in the general between a conservative Republican that doesn't believe the government ought to be telling us how to buy our health care, doesn't believe the government ought to be telling all of our financial institutions how they ought to be operating every day, clearly believes in the free market and believes in freedom.
A new poll came out this week, showed your numbers definitely improving here in the state, your approval numbers. Don't want to get in your polling, but obviously there's been a change. The media is trying to say that it's inside baseball stuff with staff and messaging. Do you think maybe Florida's just liking the job you're doing and reacting to the programs you've put in place?
Well, look, the biggest issue we have in our state, and the poll that matters is every month when we do the unemployment numbers, how many jobs we're creating. That's what I think about every day. I'm anxious when that number comes out. That Friday, I think it's like the third Friday of the month or whatever. I'm hoping that we'll add, hopefully 10,000 jobs. We've had a great year so far. We went from losing jobs the last 3 years to gaining 87,200 private sector jobs. So that's real positive. We still have 900,000 people without work, so we have a lot of work left to do.
South Florida, I know you've been at the ports, both in Miami and Fort Lauderdale. We have the new tunnel in Miami going in. Panama Canal, I know there's some free trade agreements that still need to get through. Do you have any advice to Washington on what needs to be done there?
It's real simple. President Obama should send the free trade agreements to Congress today and get them ratified, because it'll create a lot of jobs in Florida, a lot of jobs for the country, and it'll reduce the tariffs that Florida companies are paying, so it'll make them more competitive. That's what should happen right now. We have a big opportunity with the expansion of the Panama Canal, so we'll have the post-Panamax ships, the expansion of the economies of Central and South America. We should be a shipping capital for the East Coast, maybe for the country, and we have big opportunities as those economies in Central and South America expand.
South Florida is very diverse in its economy, tourism, some manufacturing. Over on the Space Coast, we have NASA basically closing up shop by looks of it. Bill Nelson really didn't do much over there. What's your plan for saving the space and technology industry over there?
Well, what's great is we have all this talent. We have all the individuals, the engineers, the technicians, and I think two things are going to happen. I think a lot of individuals are going to start their own companies, which is going to be great, and they're going to grow nice companies out of that. Second, we have people that want to come into companies that want to come into that area because they want our talent. As you know, Embraer's building 2 of their jets now down the Space Coast. When we did a trade mission up to Canada in June, a lot of companies I met with in Toronto want to talk about moving down there because of all the talent we have there. So I really am very optimistic what's going to happen in the Space Coast as far as growth in business.
Again, with the Florida, the diverse economy, do you see a section of the state that's improving more than the others? And
I think we have improvement all over the state. The Panhandle had, I think, its biggest tourist season ever this summer. I think that was tied to we have a lot of great business people over there, but we also made sure BP put up the money. So I sat down with them. They put up the money to do a better marketing plan. So that's been real helpful. But we have stories about success all over the state. Just this week, Time Warner announced that they're going to add 500 jobs, back office jobs in Tampa. We won over 39 other cities, including I compete with Governor Perry all the time in Texas. They seem to win a lot of battles of getting people to move their companies there. So that was one of the places where Time Warner looked. Fortunately, they chose Florida.
And you obviously are very interested in the Obamacare program that you were talking about that long before you became governor. What is your understanding of the lawsuits that are going on, and what have you seen so far that now it's almost a year that it's been law?
Well, we have a great Attorney General, Pam Bondi. She's hired great counsel to fight, make sure that Obamacare is declared unconstitutional. So we had a great win in the 11th Circuit. I'm hopeful it'll get to the Supreme Court quickly so they can tell us. But that's something that we should win, but it's a little bit outside of our control. It's depending on the Supreme Court. What is within our control is electing the right Republicans, right individuals that believe in eliminating, repealing Obamacare, because one, it's a big job killer. Two, your taxes are going to have to go up if it becomes the law of the land. And three, it's going to ration your care, so it's going to be bad for you as a patient. Every time the government gets involved in health care, they promise the world. They run out of money, and they ration care by not paying people enough money. So they all say they're doing it, but they always end up rationing care, so you don't get the care you deserve.
In Broward County, we just had 2 school board appointments. You appointed Katie Leach and Donna Korn. Got a lot of problems down there. The inspector generals are overseeing things in the grand jury report. How does that tie into the rest of the education policies that you want to implement? I know the teachers are going to sue about the merit pay. What's your take on the state of Florida education?
Oh gosh, we made great decisions this year for the benefit of students. One, our principals are now going to be able to get rid of bad teachers because we stopped tenure. Second, we expanded successful charter schools, so parents have more choices. Third, we started the process of merit pay. Fourth, we said kids that are going to poor performing schools can move to other schools. All these things great for kids. We brought in a new education commissioner, Gerard Robinson. He is a passionate person about doing the right thing for kids. So he's out talking to parents and to teachers and to principals and superintendents every day of our story that we're going to make sure our education system is 100% for the benefit of kids.
Auto insurance rates are a very big deal in South Florida. There's some talk of getting rid of the PIP, personal injury. I don't know if that's an announced policy, but what can you say to the citizens of South Florida about their auto insurance?
Well, the auto insurance, there's way too much fraud involved. We're going to crack down on that fraud. We're going to come up with a way that we can deal with the fraud. I'll be coming out with a legislative proposal in the next few weeks to deal with making sure that our auto insurance is fair, is priced fairly, and there's not fraud involved.
Tom, we have